definitely tune in.
The long and short of it then, like the premise of this video is the best team to never win the Premier League. So it's not who hasn't won the Premier League. Basically, if you've played for a team that's won the Premier League, even when you weren't at the club, you can't be in this 11. So it's got to be... What?
Give us an example, Dave.
So yeah, the prime example would be obviously Harry Kane. You'd all think to put Harry Kane in your best 11. He's only ever played for Tottenham. Tottenham haven't won the league, so he'd be eligible for this team. However, he's played for Leicester on loan for 14 appearances, so Kane can't make it into the side. So everyone would go, Gerrard, but Gerrard never won the league, but he played for Liverpool, and Liverpool have won the league. So essentially, they couldn't play for Liverpool, United, City, Leicester, Blackburn, Arsenal, Chelsea, Leicester. Is that it?
Yeah, I think you said them, but yeah, you can't play for a team that's won the Premier League at any point, basically.
That's it.
And the premise is to pick 11 players that would win the Premier League with
11 players that could win the Premier League if you had them in that team, or the best 11 that you can think of, that haven't won it. Not saying he deserve a medal, but they'd be pushing the. You're essentially going to probably assemble a top 6 side, aren't you? Really?
Yeah. So they've not touched Premier League glory, but they're good enough to challenge for the title or win it, or top 6, like you say, yeah.
Or you might just think God, he should have won the Prem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But obviously Gerrard would fit that. But anyway, people will get the gist. We'll put up a video or a short on Instagram so people can get involved in the challenge and name your teams. And it's more difficult than you think. Like we just used the example of Kane. It's the loan spells and such. So we'll start off with Steve's team. I've done no graphics or no visuals today just because of my work-life balance has been pretty hectic this week. So I haven't managed to do any graphics.
Working on Sheo Road.
So we'll give it to Steve. He's going to do his 11 and then some honourable mentions, I think.
Yeah, so I'll just start with the 11 then. Right. Can you see that?
Schmeichel in goal.
Peter Schmeichel.
Yeah. No, it's... Oh, yeah, hang on. Shit, Steve's done a graphic. I'm going to look like an amateur.
Well, I wanted to do pictures, but Ledley King at the back, it was only doing players' pictures that were still playing it to this day and age.
I fucking knew you would have Payet in your team.
Yeah.
You can't do an 11 without Payet being in it. Doesn't matter what it is. It'd be like best English 11 ever. Payet will be playing centre mid. You fucking can't resist it, lad.
He was good for the 18 months he was there, though. Come on. Give him some credit.
He was top notch, but you fucking love a bit of Payet in your life.
Can't lie.
You had his hair, didn't you? Remember when you had his Payet? You had the Payet. You went to Johnny Barnett's on Breck Road and got the Payet.
Yeah, that was me lesbian phase in life.
Not much has changed. Go on then, take it away.
Thanks, lad. Well, the goalie, there wasn't really any outstanding goalkeepers in a sense. Not like how good or bad they were, just in a sense that none were coming to mind. And then I was thinking the usual ones, like Nigel Martin came to mind. But then I was like, is he actually that good? So I just landed on someone modern at the minute with Lloris. He's been at Tottenham for 8 years, World Cup winner. And he was actually he was one of the best goalies, weren't he, at one point? Like, you'd put him in top 10 in the world at one point, I'd say, because he was being really touted at Lyon as one of the next best goalies. Goalkeeper for France, captain at Tottenham, and he qualifies, doesn't he? He's only ever played for Tottenham and he's never won the league, and neither is he, the Premier League. So gone for Lloris, simple as that. Left back was a toss-up between Leighton Baines and Ian Hart. And you know what? I was thinking, left back's got to be Baines there. There's no contest. But I'd forgotten about the Leeds team. I don't know about you. Did you think of them? They only come to my mind yesterday. Leeds.
Oh, I had a lot of Leeds on my mind. And I was conscious for me 11 to just not be Leeds and Tottenham.
Yeah.
Because obviously you had the Leeds team that won the league with Wilkinson in 92. And
Yeah.
they had some quality players in there. And you could have had them because they hadn't won the Prem. So
exactly,
it was that I was thinking of. And then obviously the Leeds team we grew up watching.
Yeah.
When they just had a lot of quality. But
But
I had a lot of Leeds on my mind.
Like we say, Harry Kewell, for example, wouldn't be applicable because at one point Liverpool won the league, like last
And
year,
he's
obviously.
played for us, yeah. So they're the little nuances you've got to think when you're doing this challenge, because Q would have been right up there for a period, wouldn't he, in the team?
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, it was Baines or Ian Hart for me. And the reason I went with Ian Hart is because I'd say he's probably a touch better than Baines at dead balls. His accuracy was just a touch better than Baines, is the way Baines takes his free kicks. It was really good, really technical. Whips his foot round the ball and that. But if you look back at Hart's technique over a free kick, it was just more accurate. And I believe at one point it was between him and David Beckham. Pundits were disputing who actually was better at free kicks. Going back like 20 years ago, he was really up there, Ian Hart. But getting away from that, he was a pretty solid defender, played in a good lead side. And the main reason I gave him the nod over Baines was he's played football at a higher level. He's been in Champions League quarterfinals, semi-finals. I wouldn't say he's been in a title race, but he's always been playing in the top four, hasn't he, in that good lead side, whereas Baines has been, I don't know, 8th to 12th place, languishing around there, which isn't his fault. He's only played for Wigan and Everton. So Ian Hart just got the nod for me on that one. And he's got like tons of caps for Republic of Ireland as well. Whereas it's not Baines' fault, but he couldn't displace Ashley Cole in England, or I'm sure he would have been the England left back. And centre-backs were probably the most problematic area for me, just moving from left to right there. Who was I thinking of? I was thinking of some of the Leeds players like Lucas Radebe, but then I've not seen enough of him personally. But I've heard like how good he was and things like this. But I couldn't bring myself to pick him. And then I couldn't think of any good Newcastle centre-backs either. Like the best I could think of was like Stephen Taylor, but he wouldn't make it into an 11.
Oh, they haven't had. I was thinking Newcastle. They've had like the Colacinis of the world, and that.
Yeah,
they haven't.
Wouldn't put him in.
They haven't had top end centre backs.
And then they had Boomsong, who was supposed to be good when he was in France, but then he comes to Newcastle and he was just shite. So I just went with Jagielka.
Woodgate, for centre half. I didn't put him in, but because he went to Madrid.
Yeah,
and he's played for Newcastle and all that.
Yeah. So I went with Jagielka just for a safe option. And it's more the games he's played. He's just been a Premier League stalwart, really, from... I think he was centre mid, wasn't he? At Sheffield United first, then Moyes converted him to a centre-back. And he was a really good player for Everton. I don't think you'll find an Everton fan who was unhappy with Jagielka. So they got more than the anticipated signing him. And I think, it's probably paper talk, but Rafael Benitez was interested in him as well when he was at Sheffield United. Don't know how much truth is in that, but...
I remember that. I know, again, he was club captain, weren't he, at Everton?
Yeah, so he speaks for himself, like 300 to 400 appearances in the league, probably more. And next to him, I've gone for Ledley King. Caveat is Ledley's injuries. Like, I know him, good old Ledley. But it's his injuries. But if you look at interviews with all the top strikers, they all say often, Carragher will big up Drogba. Actually, that's a defender bigging up a forward. But all the top forwards say Ledley King. A lot of them say he gave them the hardest time. And it was his reading of the game. He's a bit of a Virgil van Dijk in essence, but just injury prone. Like he never really had a bad game for Tottenham. And even when he was injured, Tottenham knew they couldn't count on him. They still needed him there. Like, it was never like we need to let King go or anything. He was just that valuable. And when he was fit, he played. His injuries were that bad. He couldn't train with the first team sometimes. He had to do his own separate training regime just so they could prioritise him to start the games because King was that valuable to them.
That's what I was just going to say. I remember that. Like, he couldn't actually play and train in the same week. So it literally was just get yourself sharp for the match and you'll play regardless. And you find that with a lot of quality players, they just get ruined with injury, don't they? Like you know, like obviously the other end of the park, but like a Daniel Sturridge type player, you know,
Yeah.
you've got the ability, you can clearly see that. And he was physically dominant, wasn't he? He was quick, strong, good in the air.
Yeah.
Scored big goals, and he's on the coaching staff now, isn't he, under Jose?
Yeah, he's one of them players where, I mean, there's a few in there like Bale, but on his day, King could probably play for any side in the Premier League, and he would be one of the starting centre backs. Moving on, I'm not gonna knock Dordle on them too long because you can all see the team. But I went for Coleman right back. I'm sure there probably is a better right back out there that qualifies into what we're doing here. But I thought Coleman, he's got 10 plus years experience. Even recently when we played them, you can still see he's still got it, you know, when he's fit and he's match sharp and that despite his age. But he's had some really good seasons for Everton, hasn't he? Again, I think it's just he's victim of, he's not part of a top side where he could easily play for a United side at some point. Like that, he wouldn't be out of place there in one of the better United teams. So 10 years experience under his belt, multitude of caps for Ireland, and he's probably got the best song as well for a player, the one you love. But it's just his pace in it. Like he's not so much a fullback dribbler; it's his pace when he gets down the wings. But he is still quite a decent fullback. Can't say I've watched his career from a dedicated perspective, but he's always looked decent. You know what I mean? There was a time when I think the Everton fans were clamouring that he was better than Glenn Johnson. And I always preferred Glenn Johnson anyway, personally, just because of how good he was going forward. But what Coleman lacks going forward, even though he's still good at it, he's always been a good, solid defender, which is first and foremost for a defender. So, yeah, I think he fits this qualification quite well. You know, there's not many others anyway, is there? I mean, who was the Leeds right back at the time? Or, I don't know, do you know?
Yeah, Gary Kelly.
Oh, shit, yeah. And did he have an Australian at the back as well? I'm not sure.
Erich Bacher.
Yeah, him. I don't know if he was right back though.
Centre half.
All right. Well, there you go. So chatting a bit of shit there for Coleman, but we all know how good he's been for Everton anyway. He's
and still is this season. I know, as you know, we mentioned on the Everton pod with the other week with Jamie about Ancelotti saying he's the best captain he's ever had. Whether that's a bit of, you know, histrionics on his part, you know, trying to build him up, but he's had performances this season when he's rolled the clock back, and you can still see that he's a vital part of Everton. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And as the anchor man, gone for Moussa Dembele, Fulham and Tottenham player. Reasons for going for him is because how many games have we played against them, whether it was Fulham or Liverpool, and he was just immovable, you know, off the ball. Never really put a foot wrong when I'd seen we played them.
No, I always wanted him at us.
Yeah, and then when I'd seen Tottenham play anyway, he was exactly the same, and the pundits always bigged him up. Like going forward, he was quality, and he was just as good defensively, really. So he's in essence, not a perfect box to box in a sense, the way Gerrard or De Bruyne would be, but he's from that school of Belgian football that's come about the last 10 years, and he's started in their team. So proper world beater of a player. And I was thinking, why did Tottenham let him go, and why did no one else go for him? But I think he's gone to a Chinese side like Zhongwing, and it'll just be money. You know, he's been offered a boatload of money, and that's that.
He's 30 now, 31, I think now. You're going to go for your last big move, you're going to think, aren't you? No disrespect to Tottenham, but they're not going to do fuck all.
Well, they're not, are they?
You may as well go to a team where you're going to get either a trophy or a pay packet. And he's probably not good enough to go to anybody in the, you know, that's going to win the league at, you know, anymore. Maybe PSG a couple of seasons back when he signed like Idrissa Gana Gueye from Everton, like maybe that sort of move could have materialised.
Yeah.
But I remember watching like teammates, you know, Tottenham, and it was like, you know, they asked them questions like, they used to always ask like, who's the longest in the shower, didn't they? And they'd be like, do you mean dicks or washing? Like that's what it was always, the question was. But they used to always say like, player, and they all used to say Dembele. Like they'd say, you just can't get the ball off him. He was 6 foot tall, powerful, fast. He was a top quality midfielder.
Yeah, you don't get many players of that height with such a low centre of gravity, and especially in the middle of the park as well. It was just the way
you could see it, couldn't you?
Yeah, he could dribble past players effortlessly, and he was just so good at defending. And I'm surprised he went to Tottenham. It was in that era where it was us and Tottenham kept going for the same players. So it was like Dembele, Clint Dempsey. We were linked with Sigurdsson at Swansea because of Rodgers, but Tottenham got him. It was like when you're similar to a team in the table and you're in similar positions, you sort of go for the same players. It's a bit of a weird one, that, but I don't know if you've noticed that, but it seemed to be the case with us in Tottenham back in 2012. And left centre mid, gone for Payet there. As you know, like, I'm a fanboy of him. I don't even know if he's been that good for Marseille since he returned, but they got to the Europa League final. They lost to Sevilla. I think it was them. Not going to be anyone else, is it, in the Europa League? But 18 months, I just thought, like, whenever I'd seen him play, he was just on another level. I think he's one of the best players that's come into the Premier League, and the transition has just been seamless. Like, from day one, he was just a quality operator on the ball. And it never seemed like he got into fifth gear pace-wise. Like, he was a bit bulky anyway, wasn't he? But I've never seen someone with that physique who's, like, so elegant on the ball. And don't know, half of his free kicks as well, but he was a real catalyst for West Ham in that 18 months. And I think West Ham even got a bit, the way they were thinking, the owners, I don't like them anyway. Is it Gold, Karen Brady, and the other fella, Sullivan? Because they had Payet, they just started thinking they were a bit above the station.
Yeah.
It's like, hang on, West Ham, relax. You've only got Payet, you know, albeit he's being quality for you, but just relax. And I don't know if it was a bit of a middle finger to West Ham. He just said he wanted to go back to Marseille anyway for family reasons, but it's a shame he wasn't in the Premier League for longer, because I really do think he's one of them players that wouldn't have relied on age, or youth rather.
I could always see him at Arsenal, you know, then. He just seemed like a very Arsenal-type player when Arsenal were good. Like, when Wenger was there, you could just always see, like, Arsenal going in for him. And they had Lanzini at the time as well, West Ham, didn't they?
Yeah.
And Lanzini and Payet were, like, proper, like, playing great together. And Payet was just quality. I think on that left-hand side, cutting in.
Yeah, you say Arsenal there. I think West Ham that season, they had Arsenal like game 1 of the year or game 2, and they beat Arsenal 2-0 or 2-1 at the Emirates, and he got both assists. It was just a free kick, but he crossed it in, and I think it was someone like Ogbonna got the head on the ball, or one of the other players they had, and then they beat us at Anfield 3-0. But the thing is, that season they had big results with him in the team, and he was pivotal around it. Like, don't think Declan Rice had come in, but they had Payet, Mark Noble, and and maybe Reece Oxford was coming in. That kid, don't know what's happened to him, by the way. I think he went to Gladbach, but he was a surprise. So that's Payet anyway. Big fan of his personally. Next to him in centre mid, it's quite a well-balanced centre midfield that would keep the ball a lot, as you know. That's what I like. Dembele there being the destroyer and also the driver. But Juninho, Paulista. Now, I'll be honest, I don't remember much of him, but that's all right for this challenge. I don't have to know everything inside and out for these players. But this guy, believe it or not, is the only player to win Player of the Year in a relegated side. Got relegated with Middlesbrough in 97, won Player of the Year for them. And what I do remember is they had another player called Ravanelli, like a white-haired Italian.
Yeah.
And it was them two, Juninho and Ravanelli, were just head and shoulders above the rest of that Middlesbrough side. So I think it was one of them, the Middlesbrough owner at the time. I don't know what his name was. I'm sure it's Steve something. But he pulled a rabbit out the hat, like signing these players like Ravanelli, Juninho. Then it just ended there. But
didn't they win the cup going down as well?
They might have, yeah.
Final, at least, I'm sure. They won the League Cup going down, or they got to the final.
Yeah. But that speaks volumes. Like the only player to win Player of the Year whilst being relegated, and he's also got 50 caps for Brazil. He was in the squad. Well, I don't know if he was in the squad for the '02 World Cup, but I'll assume he was. But he played for Brazil for like 9 years, 10 years of international caps, and it crosses over when he won the World Cup in 2002. I'd have to double check, but he might have been in the squad at least. But he's a small player. I don't know if you remember him, quite diminutive. He gets out of situations quite well. A bit like
quite vividly, to be honest.
I don't remember him. I remember him, but I can't remember like how he used to play specifically. But a bit like a Gianfranco Zola, but a centre mid, I think, ish. Maybe.
Yeah, he had another player. I'm not sure if he played in the same team, but could you remember Guy Sky Mendieta, who was a Spanish international that had come from Barcelona?
Of course, yeah.
He played for Middlesbrough as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
and I mean, he's not in my lineup, but he could have made either of them, really.
Yeah. Gone for Gareth Bale on the right wing. Now his best days for Tottenham, he was probably a free role, neither left or right. But a lot of his goals when he won matches in the 2012-13 season, they were always cutting in from the right. But reasons have gone for Bale again. I mean, he doesn't really need much of an introduction. We all know what he's about. He's not, obviously now age has caught up with him. But on his day, like not even on his day, when he was a bit younger, we all know how good he was. And he broke the world record transfer fee. He's never won a Premier League. Tottenham never won the league, so he qualifies for this challenge. Part of the reason why I've put him on the right is because the players are wanted on the left. Bale would have been better accommodated if he was in the team and they were in it. So gone for Bale on the right and David Ginola, another Tottenham, but also play for Aston Villa player on the left.
And Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle, Villa, Tottenham, yeah. And
Everton.
Yeah, won't say too much about Bale because, like I say, everyone watching it, they know how good Gareth Bale is. But Ginola is like, I remember watching I had a videotape, like, when it used to be VHS and you'd get like best goals of the FA Cup. There was just constant goals of him on this video, only about 3, you know what I mean? It was the FA Cup, this tape I had from like 2000, but there were so many occasions when he was getting the ball on the left, only like 3, like I say, but it speaks to what type of player he is. And he just cut in and dribble past people effortlessly. But it's what I call like a 90s style dribbling. You don't see it now, where these flair players back then could just dribble through people. I don't know whether the defense was worse, but specifically,
they don't even try now.
I know, exactly. But specifically on the wings, you had like a Man City player called King Cladzi. He was brilliant at it. Like I say, Ravanelli and Juninho at Borough. Villa had players like this in Benito Carboni and players like that. So at the time, he was one of them, but he was standout. And I think Tottenham like paid a big sum for him, so he wasn't like an unknown. They signed him from PSG. I don't know if he would have been playing in the same team as George Weah for PSG. Shows what volume, what class he comes from, and he's made a lot of appearances for France. But also in Gerrard's autobiography, I think he made his debut as a right back
against Ginola.
Yeah, and Gerrard said the level up from at the time it was reserves. It wasn't like under 23s or under 21s. It was just you're in the reserves or whatever. The step up from what he was playing at compared to coming on as sub against Ginola was just another level, and Ginola took the piss out of him. I mean, I'm not surprised as well because Ginola is probably one of the best cutting players in 90s Premier League. I can't really think of others like Harry Kewell if he was on the right, but he was more of a left winger, wasn't he? Well, I've already mentioned in there like players like Carboni.
He was the one that played for United. Fucking
Kanchelskis.
Yeah, he was like that.
Yeah. So, like I say, Ginola's he's cut from a good cloth. You know what I mean? French international, and any youngsters, just watch a compilation of David Ginola. Obviously, it'll all be his best bits. I'm just trying to compare him to a player now who he might play like. Can't really think of anyone like. Those players don't really exist anymore, do they? Do you know what I mean?
No, you don't get wingers that are like 6'1",
Yeah,
big, powerful lads that are just graceful and elegant on the ball. And I remember Gerrard saying about him, like it made him think like he wasn't good enough for the
yeah,
first team
yeah,
because he played against them and just got rinsed. And obviously,
exactly.
if he's on the left and Gerrard's on his, he'd be cutting in onto Gerrard's weak side as well. And Stevie's always been 6 foot, so he's always been a big, strong boy himself. So
Maybe a bit like a Riyad Mahrez, but less skillful, less stepovers, but on the left, perhaps.
maybe, but he's even more direct. You'd
Yeah,
say,
I was gonna say he's more direct because he rarely ran at the fullback and
where he's probably a little bit like Thierry Henry, just without the finishing. That sort of,
yeah,
I'm just coming at you now, try and stop me. And players couldn't. And we spoke about it in depth. Defenders were better then, and the fullbacks weren't getting forward. So when
yeah,
he was taking someone on, he wasn't taking on an exposed centre half. He was taking on a fullback and a centre half, and probably a midfielder that had slotted in.
yeah. But any youngsters, I just implore you to watch Ginola for like 10 minutes and it'll change your life. And up front on his own, I've gone for Kevin Phillips. I was going to go for Les Ferdinand, but he's played for Leicester. Didn't know that until I looked him up. So Kevin Phillips I've gone for. Again, debut season in the Premier League, 99-2000, scored 30 league goals as a youngster. Because it
Golden Boot won it as well.
What's that?
Golden Boot that year.
Yeah, he got the Golden Boot and he also got Player of the Year in his debut season. So, I mean, that might be a first ever in Premier League history, but it was him and Michael Owen. Some of the older people will remember that the journalists were like, who does Terry Venables pick for Euros and all that? Because you had Owen coming through, Ginola. You still had players like Sheringham, Fowler, but then Phillips just come out of nowhere.
You said Owen coming through in Ginola.
Oh shit, yeah. I mean, got Ginola on the brain. Fucking hell. You had Sheringham, Fowler coming through. Not coming through, but they were already there, established. You had the United pair. Well, Dwight York was Trinidad and Tobago, but you had Andy Cole anyway. you had Andy Cole, and then fucking Phillips, this young whippersnapper, comes out of nowhere, bags himself 30 goals for the Mackhams, 30 goals.
30 goal.
I know, and wins Player of the Year. And
Fucking Stephen he's Dwight York there.
Gets Golden Boot. So what's that about? That doesn't happen, does it? So I thought for that season alone, I'll put Kevin Phillips in. And also, when you look at the team I've got now, he's a bit of like a running behind type striker, isn't he? But he can also score brilliant goals. So he's the type of lad who drop back, curl one, top right. Because you got to think, people watching it, you got to think this is also a team on the best day, not just what they were like throughout the career. But I've got an element of that in there with people like Jack Yelker and Coleman. So Kevin Phillips for me. I said to you on WhatsApp before, there'll be a few players that you'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot about him. I don't know if you have forgotten about any of these or they've all crossed your mind anyway. But I thought if they had, Kevin Phillips would have been definitely one where you're like, oh shit, yeah, and not really thought of. I don't know.
No, Phillips nearly made the 11 for me. He was never going to make the 11, but James Beattie even came to me, man, because I thought about Phillips, and they didn't play together for a bit.
Might have done, yeah. But the thing with Phillips, it wasn't just he'd done that one season and tailed off. He's got like 50 England caps to his name still. And then I think the seasons after he scored like 20 to 15 goals. And then it was around 2004 he started fading then. And it was just the thing he's got going for him, he'd only played for shit teams. So if he would have got a big move to one of the big six or the big four at the time, you don't really know what would have happened. He probably would have played more games for at the top levels. And I'll just go to me honourable mentions as well. Here we are. So Matt Letizia, Jermaine Defoe, Baines, Paolo Di Canio, Heung-min Son, Mark Viduka, Laurent Robert, and Ward Prowse. Went for Ward Prowse in honourable mentions just because he's been playing for years now and he's not outstanding, is he? But he's clearly more than reliable for Southampton and he's deadly at free kicks. So And it was close between Son and Ginola, but I just wanted someone with a bit more 90s nostalgia, basically. So yeah, and Matt Letizia, as good as he was, he just didn't score enough overall. But every goal he scored was world class. And I don't think he would have fitted this system as much as a little running in behind, like Kevin Phillips, perhaps. So that's just go back to my team, show it one more time. Yeah, so that's the team anyway.
Yeah, it's a good team with a nice blend of modern and old type of players.
Yeah.
And you don't want to say too much because obviously I've got to do mine now, and I don't want to take away from what I'm going to discuss with my team. So there was points there that I probably will come back to as we go through mine, but. Yeah, there's some similarities, especially with the honourable mentions list. A lot of them are in my team. I don't think there's any player. The only player I probably didn't think about was Ginola. I knew you'd put Payet in. I could have put fucking cash on it, but I didn't really think about Ginola. He didn't cross my mind. But I'll just make a start with mine. So,
What?
Goalkeeper-wise, I did go for Nigel Martin, Leeds, Everton. And the reason I thought about Hugo Lloris, but then he's just gone a bit shit, hasn't he? And he's a bit of a flap job. And although he's Tottenham's number one still, and he's won the World Cup, as you say, I was kind of feeling a bit more 90s nostalgia with my team, and you'll notice that probably more so than your own. But I remember when Everton got Martin, there was no hype over it. But I just remember like seeing in the news and like listening to Everton people and that. I don't know how I remember this.
They were all at John Lennon Airport welcoming like Galatasaray.
And I just remember them all saying like he's the best goalie we've had since Big Nev. You know how he played and what have you. And he was a good player. Like I couldn't nearly dropped my laptop there. I couldn't complain with him. So I thought I'd put him in, and I remember him playing for England as well. But he didn't really play for England a lot, did he? Because you had David Seaman, who was like the established number one at the time. You'd even had people like Tim Flowers.
I want to say Flowers at Blackburn.
Yeah. Not sure, like, obviously he played for Blackburn. I don't know who else that he played for. So
remember that other goalie, Paul Jones, as well, around that era? Yeah.
I don't remember him. No?
All right. I think he played for Derby and he wore trackies or anyway. I just remember that on Match of the Day when I was like 8 and I'd watch like Derby and he had like Paolo One Shop and all that.
Remember Mart Poom?
Yeah.
He's a nostalgic keeper.
Oh shit, I could have had Paolo One Shop in. Oh well.
No, didn't he play for City?
Oh yeah, might have done. I don't know, but yeah.
So then started with left back. It was a toss-up between Ian Hart. Toss-up between Ian Hart and Leighton Baines. But I went for Baines.
Well, that's good because it complements both our sides.
Yeah, I mean it was only between them two, really. There was, I thought about Tottenham left backs and, who've they really had that's been that great? Fucking Benoit Asuakoto, do you know what I mean? Danny Rose, maybe. But when I was thinking top quality, Leighton Baines was a modern day left back before modern day left backs were a thing. Do you know what I mean? His link up play with Pina, we've talked about on the pod in the past, that it's right up there with any partnership we've seen in the Premier League. So I had to go for Baines, free kick specialist, good at the back, good going forward. And I think the only reason I went for him over Hart was just simple longevity. How long he's played in the Premier League. Played in the Premier League his whole professional career, didn't he? So I thought he was deserving. Flip over to the right back. And I thought about Coleman. But again, I was conscious I didn't just want my team to be like Everton, Tottenham. So I went for Gary Kelly. Yeah. And he played for Leeds his entire career. Like over 600 appearances. Was playing for Leeds when they were at the very, very best. We had like Jason Wilcox playing in front of him. So whoever remembers him, but they he had a very
Remember the name, like. But...
He had a very solid right side. Like Gary Kelly wasn't as venturous as Ian Hart, and he had Harry Kewell and Ian Hart down the left, Jason Wilcox, Gary Kelly on the right, and they were solid. You weren't getting down that side, like they looked after each other, and it was a good team. And again, longevity. He played for Leeds for like 10 years or over 10 years, maybe even longer than that. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to put him in. And then centre back pairing was Jaggy Elker and Ledley King, and I didn't really think.
Classic Steve and Dave.
I know. There was players like Olsen and stuff, and Ron Vlaar, and that were coming up to me, man. And I just thought they're not deserving, to be in the side. And then I thought about Jonathan Woodgate, got the move to Madrid, come back. Was by all intents and purposes a world level player. He said fella, world level player, but he was injury prone all the time, weren't he? And he flopped at Madrid, didn't he, as well?
That's what I was thinking of, like teams like that, Swansea with like Alfie Mawson, but then you wouldn't have him in a team like this. And there are lots of players who've had good spells for like 18 months or a shit side, but they haven't done enough to make the cut. Chris Samba, mate, actually, play for Blackburn, who wouldn't count. Yeah. So, yeah. This is how hard the challenge is, by the way, everyone.
But, you could have had players like Fernando Hierro, who played for Bolton, but he's a Real Madrid World Cup winner.
Oh,
you could have Ivan Campo, Yuri Djurkaev.
Yeah.
You could have these world-class superstars in the side. But, just because they've won a World Cup and they've done 8 months at Bolton, you've got to have more Premier League longevity. Like, you're not going to find anyone that's played less Premier League football than Payet in this team in our collective 11s. But there's loads of nostalgic players like that. So Jaggy Elker was one of the first names on the team sheet, and I thought that him and Ledley King would have been a good partnership. You've got pace and power with King. We can go and win the ball, and then you've got Jaggy Elker that can sweep up.
Yes.
And both England internationals, both, captains and leaders of men. So I thought, fucking leaders of men, they're not like going into battle for Game of Thrones, but I thought I'd have them in.
I don't know, you wouldn't want Ledley King running at you, would you, with a fucking sword and shield? So.
Yeah, no. Jaggy could probably just throw a pack of digestives at you and run away. Then the midfield is quite nostalgic, really. I was surprised that you didn't put him in.
Go ahead.
Put in. I'll give you the more modern player. He's gonna.
There'll be something here, and I'll go. Of course.
But I've gone for a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
So I've gone for Modric in the 6.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
He's world class.
How the fuck did I not even think of that?
And it was a top up between Modric and Rafa van der Vaart.
You know what? I definitely thought of Rafael van der Vaart because I had him in last year's one of the decade. And I must have thought of Modric and just not. I don't know why, but he would make my team now. I would probably take him out for Payet.
But we could always do a joint, couldn't we?
Also, I'll let you finish yours. I didn't want it, like you say, to Tottenham, to Everton. I wanted a bit of diversity, and so that's why I had like Janino in Middlesbrough player. Payet West Ham, but yeah, also that was played a factor in picking the 11s. Like,
well, I thought about Van der Vaart. I even thought about Tom Huddleston because I was really a fan of his technique, but I just thought he's not good enough, really.
No, I don't think I've seen a player hit the ball cleaner than Huddleston.
Well, there's loads like that with like Charlie Adam, isn't it? There's players that can hit a ball like you haven't seen, but that's about all he can do. You know what I mean? And you need mobility. So my midfield is very expansive. So Modric is going to have to work his little cotton socks off to keep us, to give us balance. I haven't gone for balance in this side, by the way, but I've got Modric playing in the 6. Then to the left of him, I've gone for Paul Gascoigne.
I forgot to put him in honourable mentions. I'll tell you why I didn't put him in, but go on.
Well, Gascoigne is known as being the best British footballer, of all time. The most technique, the most quality. and obviously the most tormented as well. And I just thought, you're talking nostalgia, you're talking 90s Premier League.
Yeah.
He's got to get a mention. He was not going to make the 11, but then I thought he's played for a variety of clubs. Like, there's a theme that like players have played for Newcastle, Tottenham, and like fucking Everton, isn't there? You know, like Ginola and Gascoigne now.
And then touched on maybe even Celtic and Rangers.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Then like even, you know, Aston Villa with some of them. So I went for Gascoigne. I just thought, you know, natural ability, can drive with the ball, strong dribbler, and he'll complement the front three because with him breaking the lines, he's going to create space for the front three. So Paul Gascoigne is just to the left of Modric, and I think you wanted to comment on him, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I thought of him, and the only reason I didn't put him in is because I think he got badly injured, didn't he, at 91 in the 91 Cup final.
Yeah.
He scored,
for Tottenham, yeah.
Scored that free kick against Arsenal. It's always replayed.
Then he got injured.
Yeah, and then I'm sure he tried to take that player out, but the player jumped over him and he stretched his knee and injured himself. But did Gascoigne wasn't playing for Tottenham, was he, at the start of the Premier League? He was playing for Lazio. Or did he play in the Premier League in the beginning?
I don't know if he did play for Tottenham. He would have played for Tottenham in the beginning because Euro 96, was he at Tottenham or Rangers?
I'm sure he was at Lazio, weren't he?
Well, either way, he's played for Everton, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's played for Middlesbrough. So he does count, yeah. But the thing is as well, let's say for argument's sake he didn't play for Tottenham, you're picking him on the player you know he can be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's his best day, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's like if Cantona would have stayed at Leeds, big if, but he would have walked into this team or these teams as well. You know what I mean?
He did win the league with Leeds in 92.
Yeah.
Speaking of Cantona, he did not score a lot of goals for United. You know, it's fucking mad when you look. He really didn't score a lot of goals for United, but that's a different story. So I've got Modric in the 6. I've got Cantona in the 8, if you like.
Gascoigne.
Sorry, Gascoigne, yeah. And then I put Matt Letizia in the midfield 3. Just because.
Like what I said, though, didn't really score that much, but...
Well, he scored 158 goals, I think.
Oh, sorry,
in like 500 games. Let me just double check that, which isn't loads.
No, but he's like a Berbatov, isn't he?
Yeah, he just got that bit of stardust and that bit of composure, which I wanted in the side. So I'll just tell you what he did. He scored 161 and 443 for Southampton from 86 to 02. So
there you go, then.
Got a few goals, like. Now, he did play as a striker in the latter days too, but I've got him in there as an attacking mid.
What I've not made a mistake on, but I was on the Premier League website looking at the goal records, and obviously it starts 92-93. So it hasn't even crossed my mind that these lads were banging in goals in like 1990 or 89.
Exactly.
And just a note on that, I hate the way Sky Sports acts like football wasn't around before 93. It fucking was.
Sky Sports and before Opta, does you?
It's some of the best footballs from like the 80s era that you see now with like on the old clips and that with like Maradona and different players like that, Romario and all this. But yeah.
So that's the midfield: Modric, Letizia, and Gascoigne.
Nice.
And then moving on to the front 3. This can be fluid, but there'll be a number 9.
Imagine fucking Gascoigne and Letizia celebrating on night out, like, because they've won 3-0. Fucking hell, just full of ket and kebabs everywhere.
But I've gone for on the right hand side or the left. These two can swap, but predominantly he'll be on the right. It's quite an easy one. His son, Young. I was thinking about Gareth Bale, but then I was like, he's almost too obvious to go in. And then again, as I know I was saying about the Tottenham ones, and if you didn't look it up, you could have went fucking Kane, Bale, Son, or even like Lucas Moura and all that, couldn't you? But I thought,
get out.
I thought, yeah, I'll put Sonny in on the right hand side. Speaks for himself. World class operator. Could probably play for any club in the world on his day. I wanted him in there, and then on the left hand side, I wanted some flair. I wanted some arrogance, and I wanted a bit of a maverick. So I went for Paolo Di Canio. You know, I know he made your honourable mentions list, didn't he? The lad's played for Milan. He's played for fucking Juve. I think he's played for Napoli. So he's got stock and pedigree. You know, he scored some absolutely world-class goals. One that comes to mind instantly is the scissor kick he scored for West Ham.
Yeah.
I know he's endeared in the hearts of a lot of Everton fans when he caught the ball when the goalie got injured, didn't he? You know, and I don't think, you know, other than Everton fans, everyone else was screaming for him to put it in.
Thing is, it's that West Ham team he was playing in is you look at the players they had, and all right, they were youngsters, but Joe Cole was England's next big thing. Yes, Sinclair, Carrick, Lampard, Defoe, like Rio Ferdinand, like although they were all young, like it was a really good West Ham side. And I don't know if you remember his goal at Man United, it knocked him out the FA Cup, but Barthez was like that, flagging offside.
Yeah.
And it's that West Ham team, they went to Old Trafford. I think it's the year after United won the treble, and West Ham just done a job on them. Like they were a really good side, and they should have done better. But just that's what happens when you're just selling your players and stuff. And
that's it. And I thought as well, like he's got bite, hasn't he? Like he's off his head. He's got a bit of bite to him, and you know that midfield all nice and football and relaxed. So you know maybe Paolo can slot in there and kick a few people. So
I'd like to be the manager of this side. I'll have like Gascoigne,
all the personalities. That's the one thing I haven't done is name a manager. So that could be something that we actually do. I'd probably just have Harry Redknapp, lad, to be honest with you, because I think he could get the best out of the players, and he's managed a lot of them. So then just finally, so I've got Son on the right, Di Canio on the left. I've gone for Defoe.
Yeah.
No, never played for the big teams. Always got you 15, 20 goals a season. Scored massive goals as well in big games. Like, you remember that volley he scored in the time we had derby for Sunderland?
I remember it well.
He was just like in tears, and you know he's a clinical goal scorer, and he gets overlooked. I think in like the annals of Premier League history as not being a bit of a journeyman, but everywhere he's went, he scored. Even at Rangers, I think he scored like 17 and 21 on loan. So I wanted him in the team.
I wanted us to put a cheeky bid in for him, like 60.
When he was older, wasn't it? I remember you were saying that was when he was older as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Just because I don't know who did we have up front. It was like Ricky Lambert. Maybe even after that, it was the Balotelli Lambert era, and I think Defoe was at like he'd gone to Sunderland, and it was like fucking hell, like. We hadn't been able to finish for a while. Take Suarez out, actually Sturridge as well. But anyway, I just thought he was like he's on that level of genius striker where you can't teach the movements and the finishing. You've just got that or you haven't. He is like the definition of a fox in the box.
He's like a shitter, but not that much shitter. Aguero,
like,
he knows where he is and what to do. And I wanted him in the 11, and I knew he'd be my focal point for the attack. But so my all 11s: Nigel Martin, Baines, Gary Kelly, Ledley King, Jagielka, Letitia, Gascoigne, Modric, Defoe, Son, Di Canio. Honourable mentions: I thought about Viduka, I thought about Ian Hart, I thought about Raphael van der Vaart going into the side. Kevin Phillips was there as well. He crossed my mind. But I just thought that 11 had a bit of a balance of like nostalgia and, you know, current class as well at the same time. But tactically, I think I'm going to be left exposed in the midfield. You know, they're all ballers.
And blowing.
But he'd be like, cover for me, Luca. to Modric.
I'm going on another run, lad. Well, you all know Geordie sound. But
not like we've just sounded, by the way, either of them. And yeah, I just thought that'd be it. So obviously, you know, we're going to put this one up there. We wouldn't mind people trying to do their 11s and seeing what you can do. see if you can, try and make it different than ours, and maybe think of players that we haven't actually put in there today. And we're going to do a few of these type of 11s and stuff over the next coming few weeks. And
yeah, if you want, email the 11. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, if you want, email your 11, and we'll put the email in the description, and best 11 wins a prize. I don't know what, but yeah.
Wins an hour's FaceTime with Steve.
Oh, fucking hell. They'd be made up with that. Imagine the charges that I'd be getting pressed. I'm only messing. It's a joke. It's a joke.
I know, yeah. You don't want to get us cancelled, do you? But that's pretty much the video for today. So we'll get this one up in the coming days. And as Steve said, get involved. We've got our inquiries at Triggered Reds email in the description of our Instagram. Comment them on Instagram, comment them on YouTube, or just email them in, and we'll shout you out. We'll give you a full shout out if you do. Yeah. But that is that.
Yeah.